Hey guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Rodrigo Guedes. Take your coffee, leave your like, and let's go to it. Words or images? What is worth more? We use words and image to register, to understand and be understood, express an idea or get a certain reaction from others. Take a moment looking around. What do you see? To answer that, you would probably have to use words to express what comes to your mind when you are experiencing something in the world around you. Everything that we can decode through our senses. And of these senses, the most used is not Vanda, but vision.
Why would you think that?
We use words according to what we think, imagine, and experience. Since our origins, we want to tell stories, pass on the facts we have experienced. Only the human being has the ability to symbolize, look at the world, and generating signs to interact with this world, and by those create messages. The name of this signification process we call semiosis, and you can learn more about that in my videos on semiotics. I'm gonna leave the link right above me here. When you start to create symbols to represent something that is not necessarily what we saw, but our own interpretation of that, we are always creating mental images so that we can understand what we lived and experienced. That images that we see and refer to are part of our natural interaction with the world. We're not born reading or writing, but first of all, seeing, hearing, smelling, and touching. Therefore, we tend to value images more than words. We naturally observe the millions of micro-expressions which determine that something is real. We see colors and it indicates something. We look at the movements and it expresses something. We look at people talking, chatting, and the way that they speak says much more about what they think than what they are actually talking about. We are all visual beings, however, we often misinterpret what we see. For example, in the past, when we had just come down from the trees, our entire experience in the wild was based on surviving before anything. So there we were, in the middle of the jungle, and we saw a ticket moving. It could be a wild, harmless animal, or even the wind itself. But in seconds, we needed to interpret to reaction properly. Does it have any smell? Any sound that can give context to what we are seeing? Conclude correctly is the difference between surviving or not. Nowadays the trend is still to react the same way. We see someone with a scaring face or an angry face, and our reaction is danger. Or maybe he or she is angry with me, I don't know. And that is not always the case. Sometimes a person is just having a bad day. In other words, what we see generates interpretation and generalizations. That's why studying images is so important, because as in the text, there are rules about how to read and interpret images. This book, Introduction to Image Analysis by Martine Joly, is a very good book about how to reading and interpreting images. I will leave the link right below for you all. All types of images need visual literacy, so that the act of seeing reinforces knowledge. Understand the connotations and denotations, the links of meaning, the elements of iconic plan that as children we understand so well, and as adults we forget. There is complexity in visual intelligence. The visual message has an anatomy, which involves the representation, what we see and identify in environment and experience. The abstract, which is the basic visual components, like colors and shape, and the symbolic, created by man to mean something. And there comes the importance of the words. When you are reading about a fact and looking at a photo, that photo may have been directed according to the photographer's eyes to represent something. To understand the fact, you need context. And what gives context is the words. Every word you read will create a visual reference in your mind so that you can understand what's being spoken or writing. In semiotics, these visual images in your mind we call object of the sign. If it is a fact, you are looking for real images, a real, iconic reference. If it is fiction, or literature, you will imagine it. As in the movies, when the characters are created based on the description of the books. And words are also images. They are graphic symbolic signs that we call legi signs on semiotics, and it has some rules that we all have to know to understand what is writing. And we all know how hard it is to use those rules to be understood by everyone in the same way. And that's why we say a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Because the image has this natural and objective tendency to have more impact on the messages. That's why we designers deal with the types as if they were images, which they really are. But the importance of the words in communication is huge. It gives context, depth and meaning to the images represented. So now let's do a quick exercise. Look at this ad. Without text, only images. Who do you think is the client? The brand that is paying for this advertising. Pause the video, think for a while, write it down, then come back here. Now take a look at the brand. Now that you see the brand, is that what you think? If this ad did not have this text and the brand given context, would you still make sense? The text always works as an anchor, something that gives meaning and context to the image. And remember, in the science of communication, images are also text to be read. And now I'll end this video not answering, but asking to you, for you, images worth more than words, and why? Leave your comment below, take my virtual hug, and I see you in the next time.